She was shivering at my door, and I made a mistake letting her in. The wind howled like a monster outside. On the ice-covered world of Cormex 7, nights were deadly. The cold wasn't just uncomfortable, it could kill in minutes. Jaren, a human ex-soldier, sat inside his small heating tent, wrapped in a thick thermal blanket eating hot soup. His breath fogged the air even inside the tent. Suddenly, knock knock. The sound was soft, almost lost in the storm. Jaren paused, spoon halfway to his mouth. He turned toward the tent flap, confused. No one should be out there in this kind of weather. No one survived long without shelter. Another knock, louder this time, and then a weak voice. "Please, let me in." Jaren stood up quickly and unzipped the flap. Cold wind burst in like a slap. Standing outside was a young alien girl. Her skin was light blue, glowing faintly under the snow. Her hair was long and white, tied back in a messy ponytail. She was wearing a torn cloak, clearly not made for storms like this. Her lips were shaking, and her fingers were turning purple. "Help, me," she whispered. Without thinking, Jaren pulled her inside and shut the flap. She collapsed to her knees, shivering hard. He threw his blanket around her and helped her to the heater. "What were you doing out there?" he asked. She didn't answer right away. Her eyes were golden and strange. She stared at the heater like she hadn't seen warmth in days. "I got lost," she finally said. "I didn't know the storm would come so fast." Jaren handed her a metal cup of hot soup. She took it with shaking hands, sipping slowly. He noticed the strange tattoos on her arms, symbols he didn't recognize. "My name's Jaren," he said. "What's yours?" She looked up. "Kiran." That name didn't sound familiar, not from any of the nearby colonies or known alien races. "Well, Kira-Ann," he said with a small smile, "you're lucky I heard you. 10 more minutes outside and you'd be frozen solid." Kira-Ann smiled faintly, but her eyes didn't match her smile. She was watching him closely, too closely. Like she was studying him. She finished her soup and curled up near the heater. "Thank you," she whispered. "You are warm." Jaren chuckled. "Yeah, that's what happens when you're human. We're full of hot air." But Kira-Ann didn't laugh. Instead, she crawled closer to him, wrapping the blanket tighter. Her body still trembled, but her skin was giving off a strange heat now. "Is it okay if I stay close?" she asked, almost in a whisper. "Sure," Jaren said, trying to be polite. "Just until the storm passes," she nodded. "Only until then." They sat in silence for a while. Outside, the wind screamed louder. Jaren checked his scanner. The storm was going to last for hours, maybe all night. He looked over at her. Her eyes were closed now, her breathing soft. She had fallen asleep. Her head rested on his shoulder. Strange, he thought. She's freezing one moment and now she's warm, very warm. But he didn't want to wake her. She looked peaceful, tired, like she had been running from something or someone. As time passed, Jaren closed his eyes too. The sound of the storm was like a lullaby in the background until something woke him. It was quiet, too quiet. Jaren opened his eyes. Kira-Ann was gone. The blanket lay crumpled beside him. The tent flap was open. Snow blew in, swirling across the floor. "Kira-Ann," he called. No answer. He grabbed his coat and stepped outside. The storm had weakened, but the air still bit, like needles. He saw her footprints in the snow. Bare feet. But then, something else. A different shape next to her tracks. Clawed prints. Not hers. Something else had been near his tent. Suddenly, a sound behind him, a low, soft breath. Jaren turned around fast, heart pounding. Kira-Ann stood at the edge of the tent, her eyes glowing gold. Her body steamed in the cold. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "But I had to be sure." Sure of what? Jaren asked, confused. She stepped closer. Her eyes locked onto his. That you were the one, she said. The one I've been searching for, before I burn from the inside. She said she needed warmth, but her body temperature was already 200 degrees. Snow danced around the tent like tiny frozen ghosts, but Jaren didn't feel the cold. Not after what Kira Ann had just said. The one I've been searching for, before I burn from the inside. Her voice was soft, but her glowing eyes held. Something ancient, something dangerous. Jaren took a step back. What do you mean, burn from the inside? Are you sick? Kira Ann stood still. Her bare feet sizzled softly on the icy ground. Steam rose from her skin like fog in sunlight. She wasn't just warm anymore, she was hot. Too hot for any normal being to survive this weather. I'm not sick, she said slowly. I'm transforming, and I need help before it's too late. Jaren grabbed his scanner, pointing it at her. The numbers blinked fast, confused, until they froze at a terrifying number. 3.6 degree IRF. No way, he whispered. That's not possible. You should be dead, or melting. Kira Ann smiled weakly. My kind are not like yours. When we reach a certain age, we awaken. If we don't bond with someone compatible, we overheat and die. Bond? Like mating? Jaren asked, eyebrows raised. It's deeper than that, she replied. We don't just share a bed. We share energy, memories, even pain. Jaren took a deep breath. This was getting too weird. Why me? He asked. I'm just a guy hiding in the ice. I fix old mining drones and eat soup out of cans. She tilted her head, stepping closer. Because your energy is unpure, balanced. I felt it the moment you touched me. Jaren looked at his hands. They weren't special. Scarred from years of war and work? Nothing magical about them. Maybe you're mistaken, he said. There must be others. Kira Ann looked away, her voice trembling. There were. Long ago. But I was exiled before I could bond. And now, I'm the last of my kind. Her body shook. She fell to her knees, hands pressed into the snow. Steam hissed around her. Kira Ann. Jaren rushed forward, pulling her up. Her skin was burning hot now. He had to wrap his coat around his hands to even touch her. I don't want to die, she whispered. Not like this, not cold, not alone. Jaren looked around. He had a choice. He could push her away, tell her to leave, let fate decide. Or he could do something crazy, something stupid, something human. Come inside, he said. But we need rules. No touching my stuff. No weird glowing, and definitely no bonding rituals without my permission. Kira Ann laughed softly. Agreed. They stepped back into the tent. Jaren made her sit by the heater again, but this time he didn't sit far away. He watched her carefully. How long do we have? He asked. She looked up. 3 days. Maybe 2. What happens then? My core will reach collapse temperature. I'll become unstable. My body will start pulling energy from everything, air, heat, life, you. Jaren blinked. So if I don't help you, you might drain me by accident? She nodded. Yes. And I don't want that. That's why I left. The tent earlier. I wanted to go far away, but my body wouldn't let me. It came back to you. Jaren rubbed his face. This was way beyond anything he'd trained for. Suddenly, beep beep, his motion sensor alarm went off. Something was moving outside. He checked the monitor. 3 shapes, heading toward the tent fast. Stay here, he said, grabbing his plasma rifle. Kira Ann stood up. No. If they've found me, they'll kill you too. Who are they? Hunters. From my home planet. They were sent to erase my kind completely. Before Jaren could respond, the tent flap burst open. 3 tall aliens stood outside. All wore dark armor, eyes glowing like burning coals. Each one held a strange curved blade. She's with me now, Jaren said, stepping forward, gun raised. You'll have to go through me. The leader stepped inside, laughing. We intend to. Without warning, the tent lights flickered. Kira Ann's body started glowing brighter. Her voice echoed like it came from deep space. Touch him, and I will make your blood boil. The heat in the tent surged, the metal walls bent slightly. Jaren felt sweat on his back and fear. The hunters looked uneasy now. She's activating, one of them whispered. We're too late. Fall back, the leader growled. This place will burn. And just like that, they ran into the snowstorm, disappearing. Kieran collapsed again, breathing hard. You shouldn't have done that, she whispered. You saved me, Jaren said. Again. No. She looked at him. You saved me. He stared at her glowing skin and wild hair. Her body was breaking the laws of physics, and she said she needed him to survive. This was no simple rescue anymore. This was war. And maybe destiny. Why is my body responding to her touch, like it's been programmed? After the alien hunters ran away into the storm, silence returned to the tent. But it was not peaceful silence. It was heavy, like the calm before a fire. Jaren stared at Kieran. She lay on the floor, eyes closed, steam rising from her skin. Her body glowed softly in the dark. She looked peaceful, but not normal. He touched her wrist to check her pulse. The moment his skin made contact, something strange happened. A spark, not a real one, but a feeling, like electricity under his skin. His vision blurred for a second, and he heard a sound. A woman's voice, not Kieran's. You will carry the key within you until the day she finds you. He jerked back, breathing fast. What the hell? Kieran's eyes opened slowly. You heard her, didn't you? Jaren's throat went dry. What was that? Kieran sat up, brushing silver hair from her face. Her golden eyes shined brighter now, like two suns trapped in a storm. That voice was my mother's, she said softly. She died centuries ago, but her message was hidden inside you. Inside me. That's not possible. I'm human. I've never even left my sector until now. Kieran looked at him with sadness. No, Jaren, you were just human. But your blood isn't fully yours. You carry something ancient, something that was planted in you long ago. He backed away. You're saying I've been changed? Yes, she said. Before you were even born. Jaren suddenly felt cold. His whole life he had been different. He healed faster than others. He had strange dreams, flashes of places he'd never seen. Doctors once told him his DNA had strange sequences, but they called it a rare mutation. Now it all made sense. And none of it felt good. You think I'm your chosen one? He asked, voice shaking. She stood up slowly. Not chosen. Made for this moment. Jaren's heart pounded. His hands trembled as he whispered, why me? Kieran stepped close to him. Because my people didn't believe in love. They believed in design. They created perfect pairs. I was meant to bond with someone who could balance my fire. Someone whose soul would survive the merge. She reached out her hand. Let me show you. He hesitated, but took her hand. The moment their skin met, everything changed. Flash. Jaren wasn't in the tent anymore. He stood in a giant white chamber filled with floating lights. Thousands of glowing alien figures stood in circles, humming a strange melody. In the center, a baby floated inside a crystal pod, wrapped in golden light. Kieran stood beside him, but not as she was now. Younger, wearing royal robes. Her eyes looked terrified. She is the last, a deep voice said. She will carry the fire, but she must not awaken alone. Prepare the seed. Suddenly, Jaren saw another place, a hospital on Earth. A crying newborn. A nurse holding him gently, then inserting a strange glowing needle into his tiny arm. His mother was asleep. She never knew. Then darkness. Jaren gasped and fell back into the tent, eyes wide. I saw it, he said. All of it. Kieran sat beside him, holding his hand tightly. That's why I came to you. Your body was built to withstand me. Your soul was made to protect me. He looked at her, still shaking. This is too much. I'm just a man trying to survive a frozen planet. She leaned closer. You're more than that now. Suddenly, boom! The ground shook. A red flash lit up the tent. Explosives, Jaren shouted. They're back. Kieran stood up, eyes glowing, bright gold. They won't stop. They're afraid of what we are together. Outside, the snow turned red with light. Dozens of alien soldiers surrounded the tent with weapons drawn. Jaren grabbed his rifle. We're trapped. No, Kieran said calmly. They are. She stepped outside into the snow. Her body glowed like fire, steam rising in clouds. Kieran! Jaren shouted, running after her. The alien commander raised his hand. Capture her, kill the male. The soldiers rushed forward, but Kieran didn't move. Instead, she spoke one word in her native tongue. The air shimmered. The snow melted in a perfect circle around her feet. And then, explosion of light. Every soldier was thrown back like leaves. In a storm. Jaren shielded his eyes. When the light faded, Kieran stood in the middle of a glowing crater. The soldiers groaned on the ground, stunned but alive. She turned to Jaren, breathing hard. Her skin flickered, almost becoming transparent for a moment. I can't do that again, she said. It's destroying me inside. Jaren caught her as she collapsed. Her skin burned hot, almost boiling. You said we had 3 days, he said. It's only been 1. Her voice was weak. It's accelerating because we're connected now. If we don't complete the bond, we'll both die. I just wanted to help her. Now her people are hunting me. Jaren laid Kieran gently on the cot inside the tent. Her body was burning like a furnace. Sweat poured from her skin. Her breath came in short, painful gasps. He placed a wet cloth on her forehead, but it steamed instantly. Hold on, he whispered. Don't give up on me now. Kieran opened her eyes slightly. They were no longer golden, but blazing white. You don't understand, she said weakly. The bond we started, it's incomplete. My energy is trapped inside you now. That's why I'm overheating faster. If we don't finish it, we'll both die, Jaren finished. Yeah, you mentioned that. He looked outside. Snow still fell, glowing faintly under the twin moons. The alien hunters were gone for now, but Jaren knew they would return, with more weapons, more fury, and not just because of Kieran, because of him. He walked to the mirror panel in the corner of the tent. Slowly, he pulled down the collar of his thermal suit. His shoulder, the one where he'd once been bitten by a strange insect as a child, now glowed with a symbol. The same symbol he had seen on Kieran's chest. It pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. What have they done to me? He whispered. 3 hours later. Kieran was still unconscious, her body glowing and twitching. Jaren scanned her again. Her internal temperature had reached 221 degrees. He typed quickly on his datapad, searching every medical file, every alien database. Nothing worked. No species known to humans could survive that temperature. No one. Except the Flameborn. They were a myth. A species of energy-based humanoids that could shift between physical and plasma form. Thought to be extinct over 100 years ago during the Solar Wars. But now one was here, and she was dying. Suddenly, Jaren's comlink buzzed. This is Commander Yelshara of the Flameborn Council Fleet. Human, surrender the girl. Jaren froze. How did they get this frequency? He replied slowly. She's hurt. She needs help. She is unstable. She is a threat to every life form on this moon. We are authorized to eliminate her. If you resist, we eliminate you too. Wait, please. Jaren started, but the comlink cut out. Jaren looked at Kieran, then at his rifle. He made a decision. He wouldn't let them take her. The sound of engines thundered overhead. Jaren stepped out into the snow, scanning the sky. A giant Flameborn ship hovered above. It was black, smooth, and shaped like a crescent blade. Lights pulsed along its surface like veins. From it, a figure descended slowly. glowing red armor, long silver cape, and a helmet shaped like a flame. Commander Yelshara. She landed quietly, looking at Jaren through her visor. "You're protecting her?" she asked. "She didn't ask for this," Jaren said. "She didn't choose to be born this way." Yelshara removed her helmet, revealing a stern but beautiful face. Her eyes were glowing coals. "She was made this way," the commander said coldly. "She's not one of us. She's a failed royal experiment, a weapon that chose love instead of war. That makes her dangerous." Jaren raised his rifle. "If you think I'm going to hand her over..." But Yelshara didn't move. She simply stared. "Your courage is noted. But you don't understand what she's becoming. When the bond fails, she doesn't just die, she explodes. A chain reaction that will burn everything for 20 miles. Jaren's heart dropped. "You're lying." "I wish I was," she replied. Inside the tent, Kira screamed. Jaren rushed in. Her body convulsed. Flames licked across her skin but didn't burn anything else. Her hair floated, her fingers lit up like molten metal. "She's close to..." "Core collapse," Yelshara said, standing at the door. "You have one option left." Jaren turned. "What?" "Complete the bond," she said, fully. "Now. Or leave her and run." Kiran opened her eyes. She was conscious, but barely. "Jaren," she whispered. "I can't hold it anymore." Jaren knelt beside her, holding her face gently. "What do I have to do?" he asked. Kiran touched his chest right over the glowing mark. "Just accept me." Their eyes locked. In that moment, a pulse of light surged between them. Their minds collided. Vision. Jaren stood inside a burning sky. Kiran stood across from him, wearing her full royal armor, a crown of flame above her head. "This is my soul," she said. "If you walk into it, we are one." "Will it hurt?" he asked. She nodded. "Yes. But after that, we'll never be alone again." Jaren took a breath and stepped forward. Back in the tent, their bodies lit up with fire and gold. Light, the temperature dropped instantly. The glow on Kiran's body faded to a soft shimmer. Her breathing slowed. Her heart stabilized. Jaren gasped, falling back. His veins glowed briefly, then dimmed. Yelshara stared in shock. "It's done," she whispered. "He bonded with her. He survived." Kiran sat up, weak but alive. Her voice was soft. "I'm not a weapon anymore, I'm me." Yelshara turned and walked away. "You've both changed something that was never meant to change. I hope it doesn't destroy us all." The commander vanished into the snow. Jaren looked at Kiran. "I didn't think I'd survive." Kiran smiled. "You didn't. The man you were is gone. Now, you're part of something ancient. Her heat is rising, and I'm the only one who can save her now." The snow outside had stopped falling, but inside the tent, Jaren's world had just begun to spin. He sat against the wall, breathing heavily. Every cell in his body felt different. He wasn't cold anymore. In fact, he wasn't sure he could even feel the cold now. His skin hummed, and his heartbeat echoed in strange rhythms, as if something ancient had awakened inside him. Kiran lay beside him, head resting against his arm. Her glowing skin had dimmed, the dangerous fire beneath. It now soft and calm. "You did it," she whispered, her voice fragile but clear. Jaren stared at his hands. "I don't even know what I did." "You accepted the bond," she said. "You opened yourself to me, that's why I'm still alive." He looked down at her. "That's why we're still alive." But their moment of peace didn't last. The tent sensor began flashing red, multiple heat signatures approaching. Not the same as before, bigger, faster. Jaren quickly checked the scanner. 5 flame-born battle hunters, and 1 ship, a heavy class, armored with ion cannons. "They're not giving up," he muttered. Kiran tried to sit up but winced in pain. "They must have seen the energy surge when the bond completed. They think I've transformed into a threat. Jaren grabbed his rifle, double-checked the ammo. "Are you a threat?" he asked. She looked into his eyes. "Not to you, but to them? Maybe. Not because I want to hurt anyone, but because they don't understand what I've become." Outside, lights flashed in the sky. The ship hovered overhead again. Loudspeakers blared across the snowfield. "This is the Flameborn Council Enforcement Wing. You are harboring a high-risk hybrid. Surrender her immediately." Jaren opened the flap and stepped outside. "She's not a hybrid. She's alive, she's free, and she's under my protection." A pause. Then you will both be erased." The ground shook as a massive drone descended from the ship. Its body was like a walking furnace. 6 legs, plasma cannons, and a glowing red core. It screeched loudly, targeting the tent. Jaren pulled Kira into her feet. "We can't fight that." She gripped his hand. "Then we run." They sprinted. Across the icy field, boots slipping on the frozen surface. Behind them, the drone roared and fired. Plasma bolts exploded, melting the ground around them. Jaren dove behind a metal rock slab, shielding Kira with his body. "We need a miracle," he muttered. Kira suddenly grabbed his wrist. "I think there is a way." Her eyes glowed and her voice changed, echoing like 2 people speaking at once. "If you allow me inside again, not just to bond, but to merge, I can use your strength, your human stability. We'll become one energy, one body, one force." Jaren's heart raced. "That sounds like suicide." "It might be," she said. "Or it might be the only thing powerful enough to stop them." He looked into her eyes, those fire-lit eyes that had once begged just for warmth. Now she was begging for trust. Jaren nodded. "Let's do it." She placed her hands on his chest. A golden light erupted between them. Their bodies lifted into the air, fused in a swirl of blue and red fire. His scream echoed across the valley, not in pain but in transformation. The drone fired. The plasma beam struck them and bounced off. Now they were something new. Jaren and Kira floated above the ground, surrounded by energy rings. His body was still his, but his eyes glowed with her fire. Her voice came from his mouth. Their minds were fully connected. The drone charged again. They lifted their hand, and the machine froze mid-air. Kirahan's energy surged through Jaren's arm, and with a burst of pure heat and will, the drone melted like wax in a furnace. The soldiers screamed. The ship turned to retreat. "Let them go," Jaren said softly, his voice now echoing like hers. "They don't matter anymore." The golden light faded and the 2 collapsed to the ground. Separated. Alive. Changed. Jaren gasped for breath. Kira leaned against him, smiling. "You didn't just save me," she whispered. "You became part of me." "But what am I now?" he asked. Kira's smile faded. "That's the question the galaxy will soon be asking too." Hours later, the tent was destroyed, but Jaren and Kira found shelter inside a nearby cave. A thermal generator hummed softly in the background. Jaren sat quietly, staring at the small flame Kira had created with her fingertip. It danced in the air, floating like a butterfly. He still couldn't believe what had happened. One day ago, he was just a lonely human surviving an ice planet. Now he was connected to an alien being of fire, hunted by one of the most powerful fleets in the galaxy. He had become something else. Kira spoke softly. "Jaren, there's something else I need to tell you." He turned. "Please tell me it's not more life or death news." She didn't smile. "I'm not just the last of my kind. I'm also the key." "To what?" She looked into the fire. "To a weapon. A world seed. It's hidden somewhere on this planet, buried under the ice. My people created it in case our race ever faced extinction. If I fully awaken, I'll know where it is." Jaren leaned forward, tense. "You mean there's something more powerful than what we just did?" She nodded. "Yes, and now that we've bonded, I may be the only one who can activate it." Jaren's jaw clenched. "Then they'll never stop coming for you." Kira looked at him, fire reflecting in her eyes. No, now, they'll come for us. Our minds just connected, and now, I know why I was chosen. The cave was dark and quiet, but Jaren's mind felt louder than ever. Images, voices, and memories that didn't belong to him flashed behind his eyes. Ancient battles, cities made of light, children with burning eyes, and the same words spoken again and again in an alien voice. Key bearer. He sat with his head in his hands while Kieran knelt beside the fire, drawing strange glowing symbols in the dust. I saw everything when we merged, he said slowly. Not just your memories, others. Things older than you, older than me, older than humanity. Kieran nodded without looking up. Yes, you saw the past. You saw the flame-born truth. Jaren looked at her. So this world seed, it's not a weapon, it's something else, isn't it? She finally met his eyes. It's a planet core restarter, a Genesis machine. Jaren blinked. You mean, it can create a planet? No, she whispered. It can heal a dying one, or destroy one that's already broken. Jaren stood up, pacing. And your people buried it here on Cormac 7? She nodded. Long ago, before the exile, before they decided to erase their own future, and now they're afraid you'll activate it, Jaren realized. Because it would prove your worth, it would show you're not a mistake. Kieran's voice dropped. They're not just afraid of that. They're afraid you can activate it. Jaren turned to her, confused. Me? I'm not flameborn. She stood now, slowly walking toward him. You are part of me now. The bond is permanent. You hold my energy, my memories, my code. She reached out and touched his chest, over the mark that had begun to glow steadily. When we connected, I gave you more than energy. I gave you access. Jaren felt a chill, even in the heat of the fire. So, what happens if I do find the seed? Kira-Ann looked into the flame. You'll face a choice. Use it to bring life back to this dead moon, or destroy it before it falls into the wrong hands. Suddenly the fire changed color. Blue. It pulsed like a signal. Kira-Ann's eyes widened. Someone found it. Jaren grabbed his gear. Then we better get there first, 12 miles north. Beneath the glacier ridge. The snow crunched under their boots as they approached the location Kira-Ann had seen in her vision. The ice here was different, smooth and perfectly shaped, almost like glass. In the center of the frozen ridge was a tall spire of black crystal pulsing gently beneath the surface. That's it, Kira-Ann said, her breath fogging in the air. The seed vault. They moved closer, Jaren brushing snow away from the crystal base. His hand touched it, and immediately the crystal lit up, lines of gold shooting in every direction across the ice. Suddenly, boom! A plasma blast hit the up-bay ground just behind them. They turned. Commander Yelshara stood at the edge of the ridge, flanked by 10 fully armored soldiers and 2 flying drones. Step away from the vault, she commanded, voice cold as the wind. Jaren stepped in front of Kira-Ann. You lied. You said it would just explode. You didn't tell me it could heal a world. Yelshara's eyes narrowed. That truth was never meant for you. That machine is unstable. If she activates it, she could change everything. Laws, leadership, history. Maybe it needs to change, Jaren said. Don't be foolish, she snapped. She's not royal, she's an error. Kira-Ann stepped forward now, glowing softly. Maybe I am. But I'm an error that survived everything you threw at me. Yelshara raised her weapon. This is your final warning. Jaren turned to Kira-Ann. Can we reach it before they fire? Only if we do it together. They grabbed each other's hands and ran forward. The soldiers opened fire. Bolts of plasma streaked through the air. But just before they hit, Kira-Ann raised her free hand, and a golden barrier shimmered to life around them. The blasts melted across the shield like raindrops on glass. They reached the vault. Jaren pressed his hand to the surface, and everything went silent. The world froze. Inside the seed vault, mind space. Jaren found himself in a space made of stars and glowing circuits. At the center floated a glowing orb, pulsing like a heartbeat. A voice echoed all around him, ancient, deep, and curious. Bearer, you hold the flame. Do you seek to awaken this world? Jaren looked around. I don't know. Maybe. What happens if I say yes? This moon will live again, forest, water, sky, life, and if I say no, then it will remain dead, silent, forgotten. But beware, once the seed awakens, it can never sleep again. Kira Ann appeared beside him, her hand in his. It's your choice now, not mine. Jaren thought of the flame, the cold, the war, the way she had begged for warmth at his tent. He remembered how everyone had hunted her for simply existing. Made his decision. Back in the real world, light exploded from the vault. The ice cracked and rose like waves. Fire and light pulsed from the crystal spire, shooting into the sky. The vault opened and golden mist flooded the air, racing across the landscape. The soldiers dropped their weapons, stunned. Yelshara fell to her knees. She did it. Jaren stepped out of the light with Kira Ann beside him. The world behind them was changing. The snow melted, revealing black earth and green shoots of grass. Life had returned to Cormac 7. Not through weapons, not through war, through them. They came to kill her, but I became more than human to protect her. A golden wind swept across the icy plains of Cormac 7, where once there was only frost. Cracks now opened in the ground, warmth rising from deep below. Green vines began to break through the snow. The sky, once a dead sheet of gray, turned soft blue, glowing as if the planet itself had started to breathe again. At the center of it all stood Jaren and Kira Ann, surrounded by light. The seed vault behind them had gone quiet, its glow faded, mission complete. But the silence didn't last. Ships, dozens, appeared in the sky, parting the clouds. Some bore the flame-born crest. Others belonged to alien factions from across the quadrant. News of the seed's awakening had traveled fast. Too fast, and now everyone wanted to witness the impossible. Jaren watched the sky fill with blinking lights. They're not here to congratulate us, are they? He asked. Kieran shook her head. No. They're here to claim what we brought. Back. Within the hour, 3 different alien delegations landed at the edge of the glowing field. First came the Flameborn Council, led again by Commander Yelshara, but this time, her posture was not one of war. She knelt before Kira Ann, lowering her head. We were wrong, she admitted. You were not the error. We were. Kira Ann stood tall, fire in her eyes. You hunted me. You called me unfit. And now you kneel because I succeeded? Yelshara raised her head slowly. No, I kneel because I saw the truth. And I will answer for my part, if you let me. Jaren stepped beside Kira Ann. Forgiveness isn't a gift, it's a choice. Kira Ann looked at Yelshara for a long time. Then slowly she nodded. Then choose differently from now on. Yelshara bowed again. But not all visitors came in peace. A new ship landed, sleek, dark, and humming with a strange power. From it emerged an alien dressed in silver robes, his face covered by a breathing mask. Behind him marched soldiers in armor unlike any seen before. The Collector, whispered Kira Ann, her voice suddenly tight. Jaren raised an eyebrow. That's a name I don't like. He's a traveler, she explained. He doesn't fight wars, he buys futures, steals them, collects rare things like living weapons, and seed bearers. The Collector stopped a few feet away from them. He spoke through a translator orb floating beside his head. You two have activated something ancient, powerful, dangerous. I offer you safety in my empire, in return for access. Jaren's voice was firm. Not for sale. Everything has a price. Not this, Kira Ann said, stepping forward. The Collector's soldiers raised their weapons. In response, the ground shook, and green vines suddenly shot out of the earth, wrapping around the soldiers' legs and pulling them down. The collector stumbled back, stunned. What is this? Jaren's eyes glowed faintly. This planet knows us now. It was dead, now it's alive. It protects us, Kieran added, and it remembers its creators. The collector turned to flee, but Kieran raised her hand. Fire circled his feet. You came for power, she said, her voice shaking with fury. But you forgot one truth. What truth? He hissed. She didn't come to burn the galaxy, Jaren said, walking toward him. She came to warm. Kieran's flames rose, then disappeared just as fast. We're not killers, she said quietly, but we will be protectors. The collector fled, and his ship vanished into the clouds. Later, as the sun began to rise for the first time in 1,000 years over Cormac 7, Jaren and Kieran stood at the edge of the new forest blooming from the melted snow. Bird-like creatures flew above. Rivers began to form again. Life, real life, was returning. Jaren sat on a rock, gazing at the horizon. You really came to my tent just to warm up, he said, chuckling. Look where that got us. Kieran laughed, sitting beside him. I didn't expect you to open the flap. Well, he smiled, you were shivering. And I'm not a monster. She leaned her head against his shoulder. You were more than I expected, stronger than you knew, braver than you believed. He looked at her. So what now? Kieran's smile faded into something more thoughtful. Now, the galaxy watches. Some will come to study, others to take. This planet will become a symbol, a place of rebirth, but it needs protectors. Guardians. Jaren raised an eyebrow. Us? Who better? She asked. You carry the bond. I carry the flame. Together we became something the universe thought was impossible. He was quiet for a moment, then nodded slowly. All right, but I'm still charging rent for tent space. She laughed again, truly this time, full of joy and freedom. Weeks later, the base built around the seed vault had become a sanctuary, open to all peaceful races guided by new rules and old wisdom. Trees grew taller each day. Rivers stretched across valleys that were once pure ice, and at the center stood Kieran. No longer a runaway, no longer hunted. Beside her stood Jaren, no longer just a man. They were partners, leaders, flames in the dark for those seeking warmth. And when others asked how it all started, how an empire of life grew from a frozen moon, the story always began the same way. She was shivering at his door, and he made the mistake of letting her in. But they knew better. It wasn't a mistake, it was the beginning.